Welcome to episode 150 of This Week in Marketing Show. This is your host Sajid Islam, and today I'm going over the notable news and updates in the digital marketing space from the week of February 27 through March 3rd, 2023. Okay. First off, I'm going to start off with a little bit of a public service announcement. It seems like the US government is getting, or the US, government is a step closer to banning TikTok. Right now, the U.S. House Foreign Affairs Committee, which is primarily the Republicans, have voted and given President Joe Biden the power to make TikTok or ban TikTok if he feels it is warranted, right? And obviously, of course, this does not mean that President Biden is going to ban TikTok. However, there are a lot of concerns about TikTok sending data back to the Chinese government being in cahoots with TikTok and things like that. So even if the Senate still has to vote for it, but I have a feeling that if it does come to that, it will get banned. Remember, TikTok was banned in India back in June 2020, because the Indian government along with TikTok, there were 58 other Chinese apps that were banned because they thought it was a security risk, right? So my point for covering this is that if you are relying on TikTok for your website traffic strategy or selling your stuff, please, it's high time to diversify. You don't want to be caught in the crossfire, because if the ban comes, say, suddenly tomorrow morning, guess what? It's banned. Right? What are you going to do? TikTok obviously responded saying that, it's a shame that, banning TikTok would mean that TikTok would not be able to export American culture and values to the billion plus people who uses TikTok. I'm not sure how much of that reasoning will fly, because that's a very pretty lame, response from TikTok on the vote from the U.S. House Foreign Affairs Committee. But I'll leave that here and let's jump into the next topic, because there's a lot of good things to cover. I might not be able to get to the nitty-gritty details of everything. Okay, first off, this week was the Google Search Ads Week 2023. There were quite a few announcements from Google, but one of them was Google released a 28-page comprehensive guide on Google's how their keyword matching system works for search ads, right? They give a breakdown of how company utilizes machine learning and natural language understanding technologies to determine a keyword's eligibility, how the responsive search ads creative system selects the best performing creative for users, how you can eliminate the need to have multiple keywords in multiple match types. Advertisers can segment and reduce the available data that smart bidding uses for optimizations, things like that. It's a very good resource for anyone seeking to enhance their Google Ads campaign. Now it's 28 page. It goes into somewhat deep into Google Ads. So if you are not familiar with Google Ads, which you should not be if you are a business owner running Google Ads, and this is where I come in and say, hey, you need to hire a reputable SEO or Google Ads agency, search marketing agency, who is not just good today, or who was not just good yesterday, but is good today as well. And the only way they can be good today as they were good yesterday is someone who is always learning and growing, right? Because if you're a business owner, you really don't want to spend reading 28 pages, dissecting it and understanding, analyzing it, and going back and fixing your Google Ads. Because guess what? You have a business to run. Whether you are a plumber, whether you're a roofer or a roofing company, whether you are a pest control company, you have a business to run. You don't want to be in the nitty-gritty details, nitty-gritty stuff of fixing Google Ads and enhancing and optimizing Google Ads, unless, of course, you want to do that because it's your hobby, it's your passion, or you want to take up search marketing as your second job. Now, the reason why this show exists is to make you aware so that you can go ask your agencies, hey, did you guys hear about this 28-page guide? What did you guys do? What did you guys think of? And if you have one of those learning, growing search marketing agency, they would be the first one that says, hey, this is what we found out, this is the changes we're going to make, and this is what we learned, and we're going to implement these changes, and this is how we are going to position your account so that you get the best and leverage that's out there. Hope that helps. Let's move on to the next update. The other update that Google announced is that Google is changing location targeting settings in March 2023. And we are already in March, so I do not know why Google says, starting March 2023, search interest targeting will no longer be available in Google Ads campaigns. Google Ads. Campaigns that use search interest targeting will be migrated to presence or interest targeting. These changes will be consistent in search, display, performance, and shopping campaigns. The presence option lets you show your ads to people who are likely to be located or regularly located in the locations you have targeted. The search interest option lets you show your ads to anyone searching on Google for your targeted location. If a person does not specify a location in their search, then the system uses the location where a user is likely to be located for targeting. This option is only available for search campaigns. So how does this all play out? So after this change is in effect, assuming that I live in Northern Virginia, which I do, but I often travel to Maryland for shopping or work. So I go to Maryland 5 days a week, 9 in the morning, come back at 5. And then, on Friday night, I'm at home and I am searching for plumbers near me or plumbers, just plumbers in general. Google is now going to show me ads from plumbers who are in Maryland as well as Virginia, depending on, or maybe mostly from Maryland. That's what I gather. Now, am I the only one who thinks that Google is going to be the only real winner of this change? Absolutely. The SEO, or not the SEO, the SEM world, which is search engine marketing world or Google Ads world, is not very happy with this change, but Google decides to do what they want to do. They say there are people who have asked for it. I do not know who could have asked for this, because this was one of those Google Ads tricks or tips that you should do right after you start a Google Ads campaign, search ads campaign, is to turn off, fix or tweak the location settings. So now Google is taking it away and making it a little bit hazy, so that you end up showing your ads to people that may matter and may not matter. And if it doesn't matter, so even if I see an ad from a plumber in Maryland, I don't click on this ad. So basically my click-through rate drops. If my click-through rate drops, basically that means I have to bid higher to get my ad shown up. It's just a whole complex ecosystem, because there's a quality score, things like that comes into play. Well, it is what it is. It's 2023. We got to play by the cards that have been dealt to us. So we just continue to make the best of what we have. Hope you are working with an agency that can help you navigate these changes and still keep you profitable. The last update for Google Ads for this week is that Google has introduced AI-powered search ads. What they're saying, it's a new customer acquisition goal for search campaign. This goal utilizes smart bidding and first-party data to optimize campaigns and attract new customers during peak periods. According to Google, by combining the new customer acquisition goal with bidding strategies like maximize conversion value with target return on ad spend, advertisers can prioritize and target high-value customers. The new customer acquisition goal has two modes that help you to reach your campaign goals. Number one, value new customer, which means it will bid higher for new customers more than for existing customers. And the other option is new customers only. It will only bid for new customers. So basically, Google is going to keep track of, if Sajid is already an existing customer of brand ABC. If so, I may not even see the ad, and if I see the ad, maybe Google will not move a lot of the. Google will decide, he has already a customer, so we don't really need to change the thing, and we will shift the budget to someone who is not a customer and show the ad more to them. I do not. I haven't tried it out. I do not know whether it's good or bad, but I just want you to know it's there. Maybe I will try it out and we'll publish a video on our channel on how that goes. Okay. With that, let's move into the SEO front. So this was a week for PubCon convention, which is basically a very big convention for people in SEO, SEM world. I was not there. However, I followed it on Twitter and read about it enough to be able to bring you some stuff. First off was Microsoft Bing's principal product manager, Fabrice Canel, gave a talk, a keynote presentation. One of the key takeaways from his presentation was SEO will never be dead, right? He just keeps on talking about, there will be AIs, there will be things like that, but SEO is important, will always remain important. And then the second thing he talked about was the importance of lastmod tag. Now, folks, if you're listening to this, we have covered lastmod tag. Like this is episode 150. So I think in 146 we covered it. Right, lastmod tag, and that was in that episode. Both Microsoft and Bing came out and they talked about lastmod tag that week, and it was covered in 146. And it seems like this week also, both Microsoft and Bing are talking about lastmod tag. It seems like they're somehow talking through back channels and coming out with the same things at the same time. But it's really, really important. Right, and according to Canel, 18% of the site maps out there have lastmod values not correctly set. So what Canel is saying that of all the search index, all the sites that Bing has indexed and stuff, only 18%, like 18 out of 100, has the lastmod value set correctly. That's huge, right? So if you are not using it, or if you're unsure, talk to your marketing team, or if you need help, let us know, or let me know. Now, the other thing was Canel talked about Index Now. Again, Index Now was covered in depth in episode 90, which was in January 10 through 15, 2022. Yes, I looked that up. And 20 million websites have adopted Index Now, and he expects more websites to adopt Index Now. Index Now is a plugin. It basically helps Bing from going out to your website and crawl, because as soon as you make changes, it sends information back to Bing saying, hey, Sajid's website marketandgrow.com has changed, has a new page. Come back when you get a chance and crawl it, versus Bing not knowing when you have changed. So they may come today and not find change. They may not come again tomorrow. It's just a guessing game. Index Now changes that shift and kind of helps Microsoft know, I need to schedule a time to go to Market and Grow, because you know what? They have sent me a notification they have changed the site. I do not know about you, but I like the latter. Right. And of course, if you're not using WordPress, you're at a disadvantage, and you cannot use the Index Now plugin. I don't think it exists for Wix or other platforms, other Weebly, maybe, unless they have built into it somehow. I'm not aware of that. Lastly, what is saying that you should be using Bing Webmaster Tools, and if you use that, you would be able to use traffic data from Bing's AI chat. And you, as a website owner or a content creator, you should focus on writing quality content, and use semantic markup to convey information about the pages, which is basically schema.org, structured data. We have covered this on our show. This is nothing new, folks. If you have been listening to our show for the last 18 months or 24 months, these are all things that are coming again and again. Nothing new is coming up. It's just that same old stuff. That makes me wonder why there are so many FUDs, fear unknown, I forgot what the D stands for, is out there on all this SEO stuff. Because SEO at a core is very basic, very easy, similar to a lot of the things in life, right? But people tend to choose all this expensive advanced stuff when they could just do the little things, right? Quality content, do a little bit of this, Index Now, look at the data maps, look at the structured data maps, look at the traffic volume, and make a lot of progress. Okay. Moving on, next up is Google on lastmod tags in sitemap. like I said, somehow I think Google and Bing are collaborating through back channels and that they come out with the same thing. But because lastmod was again covered in episode 146, John Mueller is saying use lastmod only if you're providing something new for search engines that you'd like to be reflected in search. If not, do not bother to update the date, right? Accordingly, apparently Google is also seeing a lot of websites are using the lastmod tag incorrectly. This is also causing problem for Google as well as you, right? Again, I'm quoting here from some study that Bing conducted and was covered in episode 146 was that 58% of the websites have at least one XML sitemap. 42% of the websites out there does not have a sitemap. That's a big distinction. So of the 58 that has a sitemap, 84%. So 84% of those 58%, right, has no 84% has the lastmod attribute set. Of those 84%, 18% has not set the value correctly at all. So I know this is just like 84% of the 58%, and then you're looking at 18% of that 84%. It kind of gets confusing. In hindsight, I should have brought down some examples like of the 100 websites. Let's just say 100 websites have one XML sitemap set. Of that 100, 84%, 84 of them has the sitemap with lastmod. And of that 84, 18% have the sitemap lastmod value set incorrectly. So I'm looking up my calendar here, see if I can quickly put 18.18 and 84, like almost 15 websites out of the 84 does not have the lastmod value set correctly. That's what it comes down to. Okay. I don't know about you, but I think this is a very low-hanging fruit. This is a low-hanging fruit that you can take care of it, but just talking to your marketing team. Next up, Google's Gary Illyes and John Mueller, and who else was that in the group? Lizzie Sassman, senior technical writer, were on the Search of the Record podcast, and basically the question came up was, hey, can I make a move of my top-level domain and make some site changes at the same time? The answer is no. Right, where it's playing, say, imagine we have marketandgrow.com and now we want to make it marketandgrow.io, right? And as we are doing these changes and we are like, hey, while we're moving it, we might as well make a UI changes, refresh the colors, refresh the content structure, things like that. And Gary Illyes says, look, that's a bad idea, right? You will lose a lot of rankings. You're going to go, into a lot of trouble. You wouldn't know what change caused what damage. So you make one change at a time, slowly over time, because you want to be able to do it the right way. And if you do it the right way, you should not see a drop in traffic. But if you do see a drop in traffic, go and see what you did because you're moving one thing at a time. That's what it all comes down to. Now you would think, who would be crazy enough to move marketandgrow.com to marketandgrow.io? Well, that was just an example, right? You could be combining two websites. Say we have a French website and a Chinese website, and we said, everything should live under marketandgrow.com in subdirectory. So that's one example. Maybe we got bought out and we want to be under the new company's brand name. So that's another reason. There are ways around it. We could do a redirect, 301, 302 redirect, depending on the situation. But what it comes down to is it's like, just do one change at a time. That's all there is. Along the same lines, Gary Illyes says Google does not care who authors or links to your content. This was during a Q&A session at PubCon. He was also there along with Microsoft's Canel. And basically says, look, you can bring whoever you want to bring and write your content, but if your content is not of good quality, we don't care. We are not going to, rank it. Simple as that. And also, we don't care whether you are linking to some other good content or some other good content is linking to you. We want to, it doesn't matter that much. I don't think I should say, we don't care. He's saying we don't give that much credence, that much value. We just care about that it's a good quality content. And don't go gaga over disavowing links, because again, that's just a waste of time. Disavowing links has been covered in the past on our show. Like I said earlier, if you've been listening to our show for the last 18 months or so, you kind of know some of these things because it has been covered, but it just keeps coming back up, which is why I'm keep repeating myself. Along the same lines, PageRank sculpting is a myth. That's what, let me see who was saying. John Mueller is saying basically what is PageRank. You know how people are linking from their content to external content, or external content is linking to their website, and they're thinking these are backlinks, these are helpful. PageRank, internal PageRank sculpting is basically taking your PageRank, which is on your one page, and then giving it to the sub pages, because every website is assigned a unique value called PageRank. It has been an important factor in the link building and link exchange. PageRank sculpting is a technique in which an attempt is made to distribute the PageRank of a website to other subpages of that website. So assuming that the homepage receives the highest PageRank because it's the most important within the site's hierarchy, then the PageRank will decrease as you go further into the structure. And this was a big thing before 2009. For example, the functions pages such as contact page will link internally with the attribute nofollow, because if you use the nofollow, then you would say like, I have some PageRank juice that I don't want to give it to the contact page, but I want to send it to my services page, or so forth. But that kind of went away after 2009, and some Google experts are out there saying, we can do PageRank sculpting, things like that. And John Mueller is saying, look, it's been out there since, it's been banished since 2009, and this is 2023. So how many years are we talking about? Like almost 14 to 2010, almost 14 years. 10, 20, 13, 14, almost 14 years, and it's still going around saying, PageRank sculpting is a thing, but it's not. Spending time on PageRank sculpting is a waste of time. John said that back in 2019. There is a tweet to that. I've linked it in the show notes page. And in another news, I just want to share with you that you should always check your domain reputation before you buy a domain. You could end up buying a domain that used to be previously associated with a spammer, a bad actor, and it's in domain legacy penalty. And this is something, I didn't think of before I read this thing, and apparently it's a big thing. So, and it's the way to check it is you can go to archive.org, put in the domain name to see, if that domain ever was associated with spam or any kind of bad behavior. If so, you want to steer clear of that domain. Like for example, a few years ago, I bought the domain marketandgrow.com. And I got lucky, but imagine if marketandgrow.com got hacked or whatever, it was owned by a bad actor and it has a spam, porn, whatever, and it's in the, it's been penalized by Google, and unknowingly, if I do that, then guess what? I would be trying months and years before I would find out that, hey, why is it I cannot rank? And this was exactly a question someone asked to John Mueller. Now, if you think this doesn't happen to other companies, it just happens to us, you're wrong, because it happened to ZDNet, because they used to own this domain called cxo-talk.com. So when cxotalk.com was available, they bought it without realizing that was a banned domain. As soon as they migrated from cxo-talk.com to cxotalk.com, they lost 2 years worth of work, and it was hell. In fact, to the point where they wrote an article about it. I've linked to that article if you really have in the show notes, if you really want to read about that article, but I hope you don't have to go to that level, to that extent, because you now know. But I left it there because if you really want to go deep and you're like, I want to read what happened, how do I, avoid it in the future? Well, what you do is before you purchase a domain at an auction or you pick up a domain, and you just want to check if it has history of backlink tools, if it has a bad history, using Google Webmaster Tools, or you want to check the archive.org, right? I hope this helps. And the last update for this week is, should you rewrite your content with ChatGPT? That was a question that was asked to John Mueller, and it basically comes down to one thing. I mean, John was being a little bit, I think, irritated during the Twitter chat back and forth, but basically a user was asking, hey, can I take my existing content and rewrite it using ChatGPT or any of the AI tool? Will it reduce its quality? Will I get dinged by somehow or the other? So John was asked, why would you want to do that? Is it a bad content? To that, some other user responded like, no, let's say English is not my language. I write something in my mother tongue and translate it to English using my limited vocabulary and ask the AI to enhance the vocabulary. My content is not bad, but my limited knowledge of a language such as English is okay. My content is not bad, but limited by my knowledge of a language, not the topic I'm trying to cover. Right? That's what Paulo responded to. And John responded by saying, why do you want to just publish something for the sake of publishing something rather than publishing something you know to be useful and good? And this doesn't affect whether it's language models or artificial intelligence or natural language processing, things like that. You need to write content that you are good at, right? And what your site to be known for. So what John is essentially saying is that if your content is bad, why are you writing it in the first place? If English is weak, why are you writing your content in the first place? Because if your content is bad and English is not good, how will you know that ChatGPT has done a good job? Which is actually a very good point, right? And how would you know what ChatGPT is putting out there is helpful and quality if you do not know what quality is, right? That's where it's coming down to. If you yourself do not know what quality is and you're using this artificial tool to write, then you really do not know. Now, yes, I use Grammarly, right? And I will use Grammarly to fix grammar and so that it makes sense. And half the time, Grammarly will suggest something that alters the meaning of the sentence, and I will say skip. Other times it will say, hey, you know what? This line is overly complex and you can reword it and make it so simple. These words are redundant, and it streamlines it. But this stems from me knowing English good enough to be able to say, you know what? Yeah, you know what? I'm using redundant words and this does not make any sense. I'm going to skip over it. Now, putting myself in that shoe, if I didn't know English well enough, grammar well enough, guess what? I would just say accept, because I think Grammarly is giving me the right suggestions. And if I do that, I'm going to get into trouble because I'm going to end up saying some things that I do not understand, even though all the words are right there. And trust me, this has happened not just with me. Last year, I had interns who were writing content, and they had Grammarly, and they were in their sophomores. One actually graduated and she was going into master school in the fall, and she was a content writer, and she was telling me, look, yeah, Grammarly, I use it just to kind of make sure that my grammars are right, my I's are dotted, T's are crossed, but I don't blindly follow Grammarly's advice just because sometimes it changes the meaning of the whole sentence. And I'm not making this up, folks. I'm saying it from my own experience, as well as the two content writers that I had in my team. You can actually go to our blog section and check some of the content they've written. They've written some really good content. But what it comes down to is, do not rely on these AI tools blindly. You should write content about topics that you are really well aware of and you can understand whether it's a good content or not. With that, folks, that's it for this week in marketing. Now you know everything to be in the know. Until next week, your host Sajid Islam signing off. Bye-bye.